What do you believe to be true about money?
I believe that once you figure out that happiness isn't about the things that you can buy, what you can live on happily changes.
I love that. Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast, where we talk about manifestation, money, and practical guidance to creating your dream reality. My name is Amy Van Meel, and I am an experienced coach and transformation guide, obsessed with helping you get out of your own way and create a life that blows your mind each day you wake up. My goal in this podcast is to share practical manifestation, self-awareness, and growth techniques in real talk conversations. So if you're ready to massively transform your reality, your finances, your relationships, and your overall enjoyment of life, you are in the right place. I am absolutely delighted that you're here with me today, babe. Let's get into it. Hello, my love, and welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast. I am your host, Amy. I'm fresh off a cupcake, and I am super excited to be here with you today. Thank you so much for pressing play. Today is the third and final part of a really juicy conversation that I had with absolute powerhouse Jessica Soodeen. I trust that you've been enjoying the first two parts. I know that our conversation sort of went all over the place. And I am titling this one the money episode because we get into a whole bunch of things around money today, and I'm really excited for you to hear the conversation. I asked Jess about how did she learn about money? What was it like growing up with money? She shares how some fairly traumatic events that she had in her teen years really created some very interesting approaches and responses to money in her life. She talked about feeling guilty when she began out earning her mom and what she did in relation to that. We get into talking about houses, buying houses, getting in the market, the house that Jess couldn't get approved for. And oh my goodness, if you are of the millennial generation or any of the generations where you're like, I can't afford a house, this conversation is for you because it's finally real talk about some really big things in life. We talk about planning for retirement, how to invest in your future without sacrificing your now. This is such a really good episode, but we very much dive into all things money on this episode. So without further ado, I want to give you a quick little intro about Jess so that you remember just who Jess is. Jessica Soodeen is a keynote speaker, an empathy architect, and a motorsport engineer and driver coach, an executive leadership consultant, and a published author. She first became interested in motorsports after winning motorcycle lessons at a fundraiser for the Formula SAE team at the University of Calgary. She continued improving her skills and eventually started racing. A defining moment in Jessica's life was deciding to combine her career and her hobby, which led her to Spain to earn a master's in motorsport race engineering. Staying true to her dream of working trackside in Europe, she even turned down a prestigious aerodynamics job position in an office setting. Her experience as a trackside engineer filled her cup, and although race days were intense, they were also exciting. She returned to Canada back to a corporate life where she grew through the ranks. All this experience is the secret sauce to her dynamically unique and vitalizing keynote presentations and work with corporate teams. She now dedicates herself to speaking and working with teams on relational skills such as emotional and social intelligence. Say hello to Jessica Soodeen. Okay, my love, and with that, I will not make you wait any further. Here is the third and final part of our ultra juicy conversation of Jess and I sitting down together.
I feel sad as opposed to I am sad.
Yes.
Once you change that language, as we're talking about identity, then you're not in the risk of telling yourself over and over again that you are a sad person.
Yes, I talk about that often, actually, about identifying emotions as like, I feel this way, as opposed to I am this way.
I am, right? So same thing with this, same thing with your jobs. I worked as, right? I am a leader, yeah. Because leaders have a lot of, that's a broad thing, and there's a lot of qualities about leaders. That's a broad title, sorry, not thing. And there's a lot of different, there's qualities that comes with leadership that is assumed that you embody.
Well, and
right?
It emanates out. So like if I were to be like, I am a sad person, that emanates out. We can all identify someone who believes themselves to be a sad person.
Yeah.
You've met them.
Yeah.
When
I was one. Yeah. For a year.
Well, you know, like it's, people tend to think of me as like this really happy-go-lucky, light kind of person. What I think is fucking hilarious is that often the correlation is that I have always had this like happy, easy, joyful childhood, that my family's all super tight, that I've always been super supported, that it's always like, oh, Amy's just had all these amazing things. And I was like,
what I see now is forever.
Yeah, and I'm like, how long do you have? Let me like walk you through, which is why I get annoyed when people try to use previous events and experiences as excuses as to why they're not going after something, or they've decided to be stuck, and so they're going to be stuck. Because I'm like, you get to decide who you are in every single moment of the day.
Every moment.
It drove me bonkers. And before I even had the language to explain like what it was. But what I find interesting is thinking about this like I amness as a leader. I knew I was a leader long before, like fucking decades before I ever actually had title of lead or manager or boss. I just knew it. And people reflected that back to me. They're like, Amy, you're like such a boss. You have this real, like, have you ever thought about leading teams? And I was like, no. In fact, I went kicking and screaming into leadership. God. I had an amazing lead at the time who was like, could you just fucking, like, finally was like, could you just get over yourself and apply for the job, please?
Yeah, yeah.
And in my interview, I've talked about this before, but in my interview, I literally said to the two people who it was like the senior leader and then like her senior leader were in the interview. So like people who were like 2 levels up and 3 levels up from me at the time that I was doing the interview. They're like, why do you want this job? I'm like, I don't actually know that I do.
Nice.
They're like, okay, so why are you applying for it? I'm like, because my lead told me that I should, and I finally acquiesced. Said, okay, I don't actually know if I want this job. I'm actually excited about the fact that this is a I can't remember what the word is, but like a contract sort of position. Like it's like you step into it for there's like a name for it. All the HR people will know, but like I'm excited about the fact that it's only 3 months because it's going to give me the chance to try it out, see if I like it. And if I don't, I haven't fucked everything up. I haven't I'm not leaving a team high and dry or something. Yeah. But then I got into it and I was like, oh my God, this has been like, how have I never done this before? But it's that I amness. There was never a question of leading. And
you get yourself in the way.
Yeah. And I think I just want to like expand the leadership a bit more, because I think that we, especially as women, have this belief that being confident, being a leader, looks like a certain thing. And often it's this sort of bravado, this cockiness. Yeah. Inside the confidence module that I wrote, I actually talk about the difference between confidence and cockiness, because they are not the same thing. Mm-hmm. And being a leader, you don't have to have lead, manager, or boss in your title to be a leader.
Absolutely.
I see being a leader showing up in how you interact with your nieces and nephews. Yeah. How you interact with the person at the grocery store. Yeah. How you respond to the police officer who's pulled you over going, I don't know how fast you were going. Do you know how fast you were going? I have no idea, officer, but like, sorry. sorry. You know, like things like that. It's this showing up and you don't ever have to want to be a lead in order to emanate this, but it's that question of I amness.
It's funny when we were talking about leaderships and you were saying that you didn't need the title. When I was 10 years old, and I haven't thought about this forever, my junior high girlfriends will remember, I created an association called
I love it.
Called the Crazy Canadians Association.
Yes.
And I was 10.
The CCA.
The CCA. And in the CCA, I made up a test that my friends took. Even physics I got wrong in the test because and I don't even know where the questions to get into the association would come from, but I'm like, they have to be like mad scientist type people. Right. So there was like some sciencey questions in there. Like, what are the 3 states of matter? And it was like a liquid, a solid, and a powder. Fuck. Wow, your 10-year-old brain.
Well, you know.
It's fine.
You got 2/3 of the way.
Yeah. And we would go into these little hikes in like wooded areas in Calgary and like think about making tree houses and you know, and I'm thinking like that was at 10 years old.
Yeah.
And it just, I haven't talked about that, I don't think, in 40 years.
Well, yay.
Thanks. That should go into my book because I'm going to be writing a book about me. And that
we'll compare notes. I'm in the middle of writing a book right now.
Very nice. Yes, we should compare notes. Yes, this collab book was like the kickoff for.
Have I mentioned that we're soul sisters? Like, there's a reason that we were meant to meet.
Physically opposites, but really awesome. Yes, soul sisters. Yes.
I love it. Okay, let's wrap up. We've been here forever. It's actually 2 hours on a recording. This is definitely going to be a 2-parter. But such a good conversation. I want to close talking about money. Nice. I was working our way into there, when we sort of segued. So, if you're open and willing to share, tell us a little bit, like, how did you learn about money? So, I'm in complete awe that you bought your first house before you were 30. You bought your second house when you were 30. I'm already like, oh my Jesus, I'm 41 and I've not bought any houses yet. But like, how did you learn about money? Maybe let's start there, and love to sort of hear about your experience with money.
Sure.
In the world.
So I have a lot of weird shit around money.
Okay.
And that was just the way that I grew up. My dad made a really good wage, but there were these underlying comments that were a constant that made me think that we were lacking, which is very curious because when we lived in Libya, Dad came back, so I had a little bit of an inkling of what it means to live in a tax-free country.
Okay.
Right? So there's a little subliminal sprinkle at 8, 9 years old.
Yep.
Right? Like, okay, well, going there meant that they could pay off the house. That's interesting, right? And then when my dad left in the middle of the night, I was 15, and he cleared out joint bank accounts. I had just been working as a grocery store clerk at the place 15. Where I was 15. But I mean, it was so interesting because I had already had this holy shit balls. Look at my mom. Like, she's fucked.
Yeah.
As a divorced woman who wasn't working, she had no credit.
Yep.
So that's really important for future planning, right? Yes. Like, how do you get credit cards? You know, she had to apply. Well, she was very lucky we worked it out so that whenever I finished high school, then we had to move out of the family home. So
when would this have been? Like, what year would it have been?
This would have been in 1990-ish, 1989, 1990.
Okay. I want to just add in, I don't know if you knew this, 1964 is the first time that women in Canada were allowed to have a credit card or a bank account on their own without requiring a signature of their husband.
That's insanity.
And it's 1974 in the U.S.
That's a beautiful year.
Right?
Just saying. That was my race number as well.
All the things came together.
Yes.
But like, we think of money as this old thing that's always existed, and it has. It goes back way back to like 5000 BC. But for women in particular, and this is why I'm very curious about your experience with money, and like talking about the divorce and how that's showed up. How that
shaped everything.
So your mom would have grown up at a time. When would your mom have been
46. Born? 1946.
So she was a fully formed adult before she would have been allowed legally to have access to her own money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's brain breaking.
Correct. So we think now, like, well, we should just know all of this stuff, and we still hear about you know, women who are in divorce situations who are like, but I have no credit and I have no. This is actually still very new. It's part of what I teach inside the program because it's so important to have this knowledge. But carry on. I'm very curious.
So I was very lucky to understand so my mom went back to work a couple of years before my dad left. So she was working part-time, which was also part of the divorce problem. Neither here nor there. So what my mom was doing, which was another lesson that she was demonstrating to me, was things were shaky with her marriage. She had been out of work to raise her kids. Now her kids are 13, 14 years old. So now she's going to go back, do her nursing refresher. She fucking aced it. When I was clearing out her stuff in Newfoundland, I was like finding her 96, 94, fucking 100% on all of her stuff. Like she was so smart. And, but you could see she was like, I need my financial independence because this marriage isn't going well. She didn't know all the crazy shit like over and above
what was about to happen.
Psychotic behavior that was going to happen. And luckily, you know, like they were psychotic episodes that my dad was having. So we had some mutual family friends. My godfather was Herm Harrison, one of the Stampeder football players. He was so good.
Okay.
But he was like this unofficial mediator to make sure that my dad was like feet on the ground. Like, don't ask for the kids' furniture. Don't be fucking ridiculous, right? Yeah. So learning about finances when it came from, look at her seeing that she's about to be, or knowing that she's in a vulnerable position, doing something about it, taught me. So I started working when I was quite young. I opened bank accounts. I started learning about what savings was like, you know, and I didn't have a lot of help for going to university until I started seeing my father a little bit more. And he was like, yeah, let me help you out with university. But I still had some student loans. So I was like, okay, how am I going to deal with these student loans? Have a snapshot of zero. My mom also helped me with the down payment on my first house as much as she could at the time. But when I was in my internship, very lucky to have an internship as an engineer, we get paid very well. I worked for free for my first 3 months on race car teams.
Okay.
After I got my master's, because that's how it kind of works in every different industry, right?
Yeah.
So there I am feeling a little bit guilty. So I do have a little bit of guilt around money as well. Like I've got some emotional shit still to unpack around those things. But I felt really guilty making more money than my mom was making as an intern in 1997.
Wow.
Like it was heavy.
How did you?
I started paying her rent.
I thought there might be something like that.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I put every other check into mutual funds because one of her friends, who was a divorcee as well, was teaching me about mutual funds. So, and I even have, not long ago, I printed out a bunch of exercises for my husband, totally random, on the back side of these papers from 1994 of this is how you were tracking mutual funds. Computers weren't, and reporting on internet wasn't what it is now. You had to manually go through and have a fucking look at what these stocks are doing, what these mutual funds.
It's my nightmare, the way you're describing it, but yeah.
It was a nightmare, but that was my education.
Yeah.
Right? So I was very fortunate to understand, no, you got to make sure that you have a nest egg. And if you do want to buy your own house, because my mom was dating a guy in Newfoundland and we were trying to encourage her to move back if that's what she wanted. So I said, what's holding you back? And she said, well, a little bit you. And not in a guilt way like you're living with me, I can't leave, but like the loving way of what are you going to do then? Right? So I said,
because you were living in her house.
I was living with her. Yeah, we were the best roommates ever. We reached a whole other level of mother-daughter relationship. It was just ridiculous. And even all of my friends, when they heard that she had died, they recognized that. They came back and told me, like, I hope you appreciate, like, I didn't have the same level of friendship that you have with your mom.
Well, we could have a whole other episode about mom relationships because mine is 0% like that.
Yeah, and it was different that I would choose to go shopping as a teenager with my mom as opposed to my friends sometimes. Like, not a lot of teenagers would do that, right? Yeah. So even having the support of her friends to teach me about finances and then realizing, okay, if I save up this money, it's going to serve as two purposes. I'm saving up for a down payment on a house because I need to buy a house so that she can move to Newfoundland. So it's almost like doing something for her as well. Yeah. And I'm not going to fucking rent.
So that was going to be my next question. Like, why were you so focused on buying a house versus renting? Yeah,
because I understood about the equity. And houses back then, like my first house cost $135,000.
I want to just touch on that for a second because you're Gen X, I think, right?
Yeah.
So I'm millennial. Don't judge me for it.
Wow. I almost just judged you for a second. I'm just kidding.
I know. Well, one of the things that I see so much, and this is actually,
I appreciate seeing it so much because I have struggled with this for 15 years that I don't own a house, that I've never bought my own house.
Yeah.
I explored buying my own condo when I was like 26, I think, 26, 27.
Okay.
I was out of university long enough, but I was still fully in like paying student loans and I was paying rent and everywhere else. And the bank, the amount of money that I could get wouldn't get me like the smallest condo.
Yeah.
But the mortgage payment was less than what my rent was.
Yeah.
And I could not correlate that.
Hey, babe, I had to just quickly pop into this podcast episode and let you know that this episode is sponsored by my transformational money program. You may have heard me talk about it before, but I wanted to let you know that the waitlist is now open. And the next enrollment period, there will only be 2 this year. So you will only have 2 chances to get your buns into this absolutely amazing experience where we completely revolutionize your experience with money, your knowledge with money, and I show you how you can easily shift over time to create this absolutely amazing, wealthy AF life and reality with money. The doors are opening March 7th, so mark your calendars. But in the meantime, to make sure that you don't miss a moment of it, get your buns on the waitlist by going to amyvanmeel.com/money.
Now,
So if I'm able to afford this a month, how am I not going to qualify for a fucking mortgage?
they were like, well, you need to have this and you need to have this and you need to... Anyway, so it was a whole thing. But what I've noticed now, and only now, like literally it's only been the last 2 years maybe, bless social media for this, where I'm seeing other people in my generation who are going, well, of course millennials can't fucking afford houses because look at the housing market.
Yeah.
Like my husband talks about this on occasion as well, that like we have, as for reference, we're all sitting in, there's only 2 of us here, but we're sitting in...
All of us.
Us and our personalities are sitting in our, like my kitchen. Like this is, but when people ask me, I always clarify, and I don't know why, and it's probably something I need to work on. This is my husband's house. He bought it.
Yeah.
It's his investment. It's my home.
Yeah.
I live here. I don't feel like I don't belong. But he does talk about the fact that if he had to buy a house now, having never been in the market before, he couldn't afford to get in.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that I've struggled with and definitely wrestled with, of like this sense of what we've been told, especially growing up, is that you need to buy a house. Like that's important and you need to, but at the same time we're looking at this market going, well, how the fuck am I supposed to afford one?
Let's flip it around though. And we did this when we bought a house in Chestermere. And I told my husband, this is not an investment property. Usually I don't buy houses just to live in them. But we bought this
just to live in.
It was a great party house.
Fancy people.
Yeah, and it was totally a fucking fancy house. It was like 2,700 square feet upstairs, fully developed basement, hot tub outside. We had our little infrared sauna, bar downstairs, theater downstairs, a kitchen that is the size of my kitchen and living room in the house that we're living in now, which is the same house that I bought back in November of 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, so I still have that original house.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, okay, well, if I buy this house for, whatever it was, $640,000, I'm not going to sell it for $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when you're thinking about what does that look like now, if you think of houses as homes, not investments, then okay, getting into the house market may have a different feel to it, right? Mm. But I was, even back when I was buying my first house, I was choked that I couldn't get a mortgage to buy my mom's house. I'm going to throw out the numbers to you. It's going to break your brain.
Okay.
Because it's not a lot of money now.
I'm ready for it.
Are you ready for it? So I was buying a house that was $135,000. I could not buy my mom's house that was listed for $186,000.
You wouldn't be approved for the financing.
I was not. I tried.
Okay.
Her house now, that would sell for $1 million, and it's like 1,000 square foot bungalow in Wildwood, but it's Wildwood and right? Yeah. So I mean, what an investment that wouldn't be. I recognized that at the time, and I was choked because I was buying a duplex, not a standalone house.
Right.
So when I was thinking about finances already at the time, I had this investor's mindset. I had this, it's going to be my home, but let's really look at what are the levers that it has so that I can make money in the future, or that I thought this is my nest egg because it's going to go up. So to your point, I could sell that duplex now for $400,000. How could someone think that a duplex at $400,000 is going to be their nest egg? Where mine is could still be, because mine's close to downtown. It's close to getting to out of town to the mountains. It's close to the university. It's close to MRU. It probably will go up again, or developers might want to buy it. But even when I was thinking of buying the other half was 160.
Okay.
And I sold that one for 330.
Yeah.
So the whole finances thing now, do I kick myself about selling that other half? Because my idea of buying the two halves was to rip them down, put two infills in that I could sell for $500K each. Now they go for $800K each,
yes,
right? Make no mistake, I still knock on the door for my neighbor. You want to sell the house back to me? Cheap, right? But it's very interesting when you're thinking about finance and what is going to be, because you start thinking about like retirement, but us, when you're in your 30-year-old self, you don't really think about retirement as a reality unless you have older friends.
Yeah.
Or unless you actually hang out with your parents' friends, maybe.
Right.
Right? Or uncles and aunts and this and that. Unless you're seeing people that are maybe struggling or maybe triumphing in retirement is when you start thinking about it, but it's now that you need to start thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I was very, very fortunate that my mom had like put in these little seeds, you know, to say, yeah, I'm going to leave, but where are you going to live? And you should buy a house.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I also love that, like, in your story, the teachers who came along for you seem to primarily be women.
Yeah, this is true. I never thought about that.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
I love
the
it.
men in those times that were teaching me about finance as well were like my mortgage broker. I can't say enough about my mortgage broker. He was pretty good with me.
Nice.
And I find I'm in some networking groups with some mortgage brokers now, and they go even further than he was doing back then, which is amazeballs.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I was so when I sold that other half, that was because I needed liquid cash because I was about to move to Europe and not work for a year at least,
Yeah, you need to
and then
support yourself.
potentially work for free for a little bit until I made a name that, yeah, I'm a good race car engineer.
Right.
Pay me now.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much. In the big dollars.
Oh, that was a big conversation in itself. That's actually a big story. I had to go and talk to the team boss and say, yeah, my 3 months, they're done. And it wasn't even my engineering manager that I had to go talk with. I had to go talk with the team principal. And this is a guy who has a huge background in Formula One and all of this, large stature man, very confident. He was building his team to be a Formula One team as well.
Okay.
So he's a very strong guy. And I had to go up to him and say, yeah, it's time for me to get paid. And he looked at me and said, well, you know, will you be a team player and maybe go into the office if we need you? And I said, yep, but that's going to be a separate wage.
Damn.
No one had ever said anything like that to him before.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And he also didn't have any women engineers.
Right.
Trackside.
Wow.
And I just had to say I didn't move halfway across the world, like I said before, to go back to an office. If I do, I will get compensated in the same way as when I left Canada.
Yeah.
I'm okay with taking less money for a race car engineer because it's a new career for me and it's very specific. So yes, I have transferable skills from the motorcycle stuff, and yes, I will demand a fair wage. I'm not going to work for peanuts.
Yeah, you're not underpaid.
But I already worked for free for 3 months and it's done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And to be able to stand in that strength goes to that tenacity in your 30s again.
Yeah.
But it also had to do with my finances.
Yes, it does.
Like,
Well,
I
there's a
can't
confidence
live in
that comes
fucking
through
Europe.
that comes through in your specific relationship to money.
Yeah. And which is amazing because I do have some emotional barriers and I don't like getting gifts. I hate getting Christmas gifts. I don't like getting birthday gifts.
Because?
It's just the whole receiving thing, and I find I get embarrassed about receiving stuff. Like, I'd prefer to have someone's time. I'd prefer you show up at my birthday party that I organized for myself without a gift.
So your love language is quality time.
Yes,
That's what
my
you're
love
telling me.
language is quality time.
Me too.
It's not stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like, stuff drives me crazy. But I appreciate when people give me stuff that's thoughtful. So it's so funny. I thought about it many times during this conversation. On my 50th birthday, one of my Wild West Vixens, which is my motorcycle ladies group that I belong to,
Yes.
one of them gave me a jar of fucks. And these are the fucks that I can give or not give. I physically have a jar of fucks at home.
That's amazing.
In my living room.
What an amazing jar.
It is. And it also turned my head around, inside out, backwards, upside down, whatever it is, in that, wait a sec, if I'm giving a fuck, then it means that I care about someone. So maybe I do want to give fucks in certain ways, but not give fucks about so many other things. And that whole thing changes as you get over. And 50 is a powerful one.
Yes. Like
50 is a huge, powerful one. And while we're talking about money, it's not like I've never made any bad investment decisions. I've made 2 really bad investment decisions, and they've cost in the tens of thousands of dollars for me.
Okay.
Right? And that's a hard thing to swallow because you have to swallow it.
Yeah.
And you can't ruminate it. And you can't beat yourself up about it. And you
can.
Well, you can.
It's not helpful.
But you really shouldn't.
Yeah.
And you have to like really be careful how many times you visit it, or if it's thrown in your face, how you react to that. Right?
Yeah.
It's very interesting. And I'm very fortunate because you were talking about living in your home, but it's your husband's house. Well, you know, like I do very well with my speaking gigs. I do very well with the workshops that I do. And I'm just launching that business and getting busier and busier now. But there were times, especially in 2021, when I was quite depressed about my mom's death and about, you know, the identity crisis. When I came out of that is when things got fantastic. And I was able to ask for the money that this whole 25 years or whatever it is of a career was building up to.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to come back and say, okay, well, you know, marriages, for example, they're this give and take. And if my husband's making more right now and I was making more when I was a VP or this or that, it's like this whole pooled idea of finances. And is there a way, and I think this is an important lesson for anyone, but I think women have a well, our brains are wired differently, the way that we research as opposed to the way that men research as well. It's such an opportunity when you're a woman in your 30s. Well, when you're a woman in your 30s, it's the learning stage, but a woman in your 40s and a woman in your 50s to be able to start to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to break out 4 hours a week and learn about one investment strategy. So whether that's stocks, housing market,
some way of growing your money.
Some way of growing some of the money so that, because you start thinking about retirement and you start thinking about, okay, I'm doing myself such a great fucking service by being good to my body, by quitting smoking. I quit drinking alcohol initially because of menopause, but now it's more of a health thing. And you're doing all this stuff and you're like, oh God, am I going to have enough money to live now that I'm going to live
now
another
that I'm
10
healthy?
Now I'm going to live that extra 10 years.
I've bought myself the time. How do I get there?
Yeah. And it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And as you get older, it can cause you to lose sleep.
Right. I do want to, something that I always try to make sure to communicate, because I know when I was in my 20s and in my 30s, and I still feel it as well, but it's gotten less and less. It's in the jar of fucks that I have less of. That I've really struggled with I'm going to say the advice to like really think about your retirement and like do everything you can now. Not because it's bad advice, but because I had no extra pennies.
Yeah.
There was nothing, forget dollars. There weren't extra pennies in order to like put towards things.
Sure.
But when I have those moments that because as my career grew and it's grown and flexed and come back down again and it'll grow again. It naturally is going to, everybody's career
ebbs
is going
and
to
flows.
do that. Is that once you have, if you can challenge yourself when your basic needs are met, and I'm talking like phone, car payment, not going out and getting the luxury car just yet, but like a car payment, something that's secure and solid and like gets you from point A to B, your housing, your health, like basic things met. Can you then start to do future you a real solid?
Yeah.
And like start thinking, and you can start small.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that if I tell anybody anything, You can start small, especially when it comes to investing. This is where, like, when you talk about like
a couple $100 a month, well, it doesn't matter.
Even if it's not that much. Like, I literally started with $10 a month.
Nice.
$10 a month was the like change in my entire life's trajectory.
Wow. Hey.
And because it was just, I was like, fuck, I don't have a few $100s a month. I don't even have $100 a month. But like, I don't technically have $10 a month either, but $10 a month is not going to make it or break my debt repayment plan. So I'm just going to put it over here. Mm-hmm. And that made a big difference. I want people to understand that you can start small. Yeah. Even when we're talking like investing in the stock market. And I know I've referenced this in one of the podcast episodes I recorded recently, but I've recorded like 5 in the last week or 2. So I can't remember which one. But I talk about that, like, I've always been a really big fan of Tesla. And like what Tesla's doing and like how they're marketing things and how they're moving the company forward. And I really wanted to be an investor in Tesla. But when I looked at the stock price, I was like, oh fuck, I don't have that much money. So I saved, it took me like, probably took me 6 or 7 months to save the money to buy 1 share. Mm-hmm. But I had 1 share and I was so proud. And then at some point, I think the stock went down a little and I suddenly had enough to buy 2 more shares. So now I had 3 shares. I was so fucking excited. I was like, oh, I own 3 shares of Tesla stock. And then right after this happened, the stock split. So all of a sudden I had 6 shares of Tesla stock. And I was like, look out, world, here I come. But like, if you were to look at my portfolio now, and I maybe I should like actually take a picture of it right now. You should. Because I'm very curious, like, so I'm curious about your portfolio now, and then looking at my portfolio in 10 years from now. Yeah. There is going to be women who are going to be hearing me 10 years from now going, okay, so here's what my portfolio is now. And they're going to be like, oh my fucking God, that's amazing. Like, how am I ever going to get there? And I'm like, I started here.
Yeah.
Listen up, ladies. Are you tired of being told to be confident like a man? To be confident but not brash? To be compelling but not too talkative, to take up space but not too much? It is exhausting and impossible to follow the rules of the game that are supposed to help us show up more authentically, to feel more confident, and to be seen and valued in our work, because the rules of the game were never written for women. I am tired of this, and so I have got a game-changing workshop coming your way in early 2025. It is all about unlocking your authentic feminine confidence, the kind that naturally attracts promotions, raises, recognition, respect, without needing to practice gross male cocky energy or feeling like you're putting on a mask. Imagine feeling grounded and secure as you add your voice to the next group meeting. Imagine naturally attracting in recognition, respect, and opportunities. Imagine how good it will feel to own your voice, to share your power, and not spend the days afterwards worrying that you came across as too strong, too bossy, or too much. That's the power of true confidence, and I want to show you how to embody it. This workshop will be hosted live in early 2025, and the time is now to get on the wait list. Don't miss out on early bird registration and insider discounts that will only be shared with folks who have put their name on the wait list. So join the wait list now by going to amyvanmeel.com/confidence. It is time to stand in your power, babe. It is time to shine in your career. Sign up to the waitlist today.
I didn't start investing thousands or even hundreds of dollars a month.
Well, and look, where do we live? We live in a city. If we're talking local Calgary people, going out for a drink, like I can't even tell you how much money I've spent on not drinking anymore, which is huge.
I mean,
right?
Even tea is expensive.
Tea is still $5-6, right?
Yes.
So if in a month you choose not to go out for one of those nights, you've got $100 in your pocket.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
and to be clear, doesn't mean you're not socializing.
Absolutely not.
You buy a bottle of wine, which is the cost of one drink.
Yes.
To go out.
Absolutely.
Let's be honest.
Even a mocktail are like $15.
Yes. I know. Have your friends come over. You'll have a great time. Because like now you don't have to worry about like getting kicked out of the table or like people like being mad because you're rowdy or whatever. So you still can have the connections. You can still do things. And then, I mean, there's a whole other conversation about like, it doesn't have to be centered around like food and drink, but
absolutely
there are ways to have that. And the thing that I really want to be clear, I know which podcast I talked about this because I just recorded one on the energies of money discussing accumulation and wealth.
Oh.
and talking about wealth as the fullness of something. And as you are moving through, so the challenge of the two energies is finding enough. What does enough mean? And enough to you is different than enough to me, and enough to Dave is different.
Absolutely.
Right? But finding ways to, as you're going after your long-term goals,
Yeah.
can you hold the long-term goal in view, take actions now to feed that goal? So this is great when it comes to investing or some kind of like future financial goal. So you're not taking short-term actions that are putting your long-term goal at risk, but also doing it in a way that doesn't feel like you're sacrificing.
Right.
Because that's the advice that we've been told our whole life is, well, you just need to sacrifice for the long term. And the amount of people, Jess, that I've seen in my life that like worked like a fucking dog their entire life, and then they retire and they die 6 months later. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know if that's how I'm going to go, but I would like to enjoy the 60 years getting there. Please,
that's the note that I just made, because that sacrifice can look like, oh, I didn't do my traveling until I was 60 and I needed, I didn't have the stamina to be out that long. Or I didn't do my traveling until I was in my 70s. Now, I know some very fit 70-year-olds. But I also know some people that are walking with canes and this and that, right?
Yeah.
So what are you giving up in your dreams for your future? Because it's always that balance of, if I live too long, I'm not going to have money for it.
Right.
But if I save too much, then I'm not enjoying everything. And all I'm doing is paying my mortgage, paying my car payments, So I imagine that you teach in your courses, there's an inventory stage of, okay, let's look at the financial situation. Let's look at what gives you joy in your life, this, that, whatever. So I pulled up here with a 2001 Honda Prelude. It was the last year they were made. It's a manual, yay.
Ooh.
It's a $6,000 car. I don't have a car payment. I haven't had car payments maybe ever. I think I've never had a car payment.
Well, that's amazing.
In my life.
Wow.
Because I'm in a special spot that if I want to change brakes, I'll change my brakes.
Right.
Right?
I'm calling you from now on if anything.
Lots of people do, it's fine.
Where were you when I had my WRX? Anyway,
Oh my, you had a WRX?
I had a WRX.
Shitballs, that's good times.
I told you, we were soul sisters, baby.
Yes. So you know how to drive a standard. I should let you drive my Prelude. It's like a go-kart. It's so fun. But it's funny because when it came to me deciding what fills my cup, finance-wise, and what's going to give me that little extra so that I can put it away into whatever investment that is. Could have been saving for that down payment. It could have been, all these things, because I needed a bigger down payment, for example, for the second house.
Yeah.
And what did I do? I remortgaged the shit out of the first house to buy the second house. The most mortgage I could have on that house, because that was going to be the rental, and that's the interest that you can write off as it being a rental. Mm-hmm. These things may politically change in the future, but that is the strategy as of
currently.
Today.
Yep.
And I looked at like the different things. I also had a very expensive hobby, racing motorcycles.
Yes.
I had a 1991 Prelude.
Racing, no matter what follows it, is already an expensive hobby.
Very expensive hobby, right? I had a 1991 Prelude that I welded a hitch to, and I used to tow my bike with that, and that car cost me $2,500.
I love it.
So sure, I buy these old cars. I do oil changes every 3,000 to 5,000 kilometers, not every 8,000 kilometers, because they're older cars.
Yeah.
But that's a choice that I made for a sliver of financial freedom in this sense.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, it's not a sacrifice not to drive a fancy car.
Yeah.
So you always have to come back. What's a sacrifice? A sacrifice for me is, my husband and I just went to Austin for a Formula One race. It was the first time either of us have ever been to an F1 race, which is crazy.
Boggles my mind, considering you were on
the best racetracks where F1 all fucking drives. Yep. But I worked weekends and I just didn't make it a priority.
Right.
We could have saved a pile of money, not done that, but that's a bucket list thing.
Yeah.
So I put that trip, vacay is always, like vacay plane tickets, travel is always more important to me personally than having a fancy car, a fancy house, a fancy stuff.
Yeah.
That's just me though.
Yeah.
Other people enjoy the shit out of driving their fancy cars. And when they let me drive their fancy cars, I also enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
But I also enjoy driving my $6,000 Prelude.
Yes.
And financially, that gives me a sliver of freedom in many other ways.
Yeah.
Insurance prices, no car payment, like all of these things, that is simply just not in my budget anymore. But it's a choice.
I love that you have not only like, I mean, if we take all of that aside, I also love the fact that you have this grounded, secure confidence in, I choose to drive this, and I don't really care what you think about it.
Yeah.
So when I was working as a designer, I was driving a Pontiac Sunfire. It's a 2001 Pontiac Sunfire.
Oh my God, that's what we had when we first moved back to Calgary, and we were so pissed off that we sold it. But we sold it for the Prelude, so.
Yeah, well, it's one or the other, yeah.
But those are fantastic cars.
It was a fantastic car. I had the most ridiculous of tiny little accidents where the person, we were waiting to turn right, and the person, like, I'm behind them. The car moved as if they were going. So I'm doing a full shoulder check to go, okay, is there traffic going? And having my brain already tracked that this person had left based on how the vehicle had moved, I was like, oh, there's a spot, I'll go, not knowing literally as I turned back, this was so mad at her. This woman had not gone when there was no reason that she shouldn't have made the corner.
Yeah.
But she was in an SUV, Pontiac Sunfire is a car,
Very low.
and I just happened to catch the lip of my hood, and it just like sort of bent back a little. Everything was fine, nothing was broken. Her car didn't even really notice, even though she like took it insurance and it was the whole thing. But I remember the coach that I was working with at the time said to me, I first of all needed to dress differently. You're a designer, Amy. People are paying you a lot of money to come into their home. You need to look a certain way. And I was like, I don't fucking have money to go like drop what I don't even know what a Gucci purse costs because I've never actually shopped for one. But like, you know, like a designer,
more than my Prelude.
Yeah, really. Like I've never it's never been a desire of mine to have like designer handbags and stuff. But I'm like, oh my God, okay. So now I was spending money to like try to somehow tweak my wardrobe in a little way. And I remember I can see the purse in my mind. I remember the purse that I bought. And I think I bought it for like $20 because I was like, that looks good enough to me. I think it's like, it's close enough to kind of.
We are soul sisters.
But I used to park a block away and I would walk in carrying 30 or 40 pounds worth of samples or material books or whatever, because it was so ingrained in me from this one person saying you can't be successful if people see what you drive.
Wow.
And that, like,
wow,
you know, and I was just like, oh my God. And when I actually look at the clients that I had now, of course, looking back, as always gives you like amazing perspective. None of them would have fucking cared. And in fact, a bunch of them were like, where's your car? I'm like, oh, I just wanted to walk today. So I parked a little further away to like encourage myself to have some steps. This is the kind of shit that I told people because I didn't want them to know that I felt ashamed of what I was driving.
Interesting.
When I bought the WRX, it was my dream car. I wanted a WRX like forever. I had a, what was it, 2010?
The STI?
No, but I got the Impreza WRX. So it's a hatch.
Yes.
Sporty as hell. I've talked about that car in the podcast.
The Imprezas
before.
are amazing.
Oh my God, it was so fun.
Yeah. If my friend Tom is listening to this, he would love that.
Hi, Tom. We'll send it to you later. But I ended up, that car ended up costing me a fuck ton of money. It needed a full engine rebuild, a full turbo rebuild. It was.
You needed to know my friend Tom.
Yes, I did. Remind me, okay, I'm going to put it, those of you listening, I'm going to ask about this because I'm very curious if your friend Tom is the same Tom that my husband knew like from forever ago, and it would be the wildest thing ever if it was the same Tom.
Well, he was like the Subaru king of Calgary.
I mean, it definitely could be the same person.
Tom Penner?
I don't know what his last name is. I'd have to ask Dave. But
that's funny.
When I ultimately decided to sell the WRX, there wasn't anything else on the market that I was interested in.
Interesting.
I ended up buying a Forester. I got one brand new, which was like very wild to me. And I got it brand new because I was so fucking tired of the stress of having this car that needed all these repairs. And I was like, I'm not really wanting a new car. That was never really something that was like super big on my list. But I am willing to sacrifice a bit of financial like input to go into this car in order to have peace of mind that I'm not wondering, is this car going to break down or does someone drive the bag out of it or whatever.
When it comes to vehicles, you can pay for peace of mind, and it's it holds value for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone can say, like, we had a Jimmy for a while, and we were like, oh, shitballs, the Jimmy brakes, they look like they're, you know, running down. Gee, Gorka, my husband, do you want to spend the afternoon in the garage and let's do the brakes? Let's go to auto parts. Oh, okay, yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Right? But not everyone can do that. And
Correct.
At the end of the day, like, you know, as we're talking here, my Prelude is in the shop getting some oil leaks fixed, right? My husband is very much encouraging me to sell my baby and go get another, like, maybe sports car that's not almost 25 years old,
right?
But maybe that's only 15 years old,
right?
Because he knows me.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm happy to get these oil leaks fixed because I know it'll be better for my engine. But I had left the oil leaks for years. But, you know, it's this whole thing of, okay, especially having, like, holding a master's in race car engineering, everyone asks me what I drive.
Of course.
And when I say the Prelude, they're like, so do you have a single or double turbo? And I'm like, the engine is original.
Right.
Like, I don't put money, except for our truck, into depreciating assets.
Right.
Right? Like, and it's a real shift in thinking, okay, well, if I have, so I got to figure out how I can fill both cups financially in this sense.
Yeah.
So if I have this thing where I look at cars as depreciating assets, but I fucking love driving, how am I going to be able to balance my financial values with what I get and how I execute it? Mm-hmm. Right? And to me, that looks like buying a Sunfire for $3,000, buying my Prelude for $6,000.
Yeah.
Our Volvo is an XC90, 2008. We got it for $6,000. Like, we do not have car payments.
Yeah.
And this, when it comes to financially, for me, it's that the Volvo is still like a pretty car. It costs more to fix because it's, you know, whatever. My husband would prefer our older Touareg, a VW. It has nice this and that. But we also spent $3,400 on the Touareg.
Buying it.
Okay. Right? Understanding you're buying a used car, you're probably going to have to spend $1,500 just on whatever the person that sold it didn't tell you about.
Correct.
And you just put that into your budget.
Yeah.
But that's also the thing, and I'm sure that you have modules on this. How do you have that foresight when you're budgeting for something at the front to put in a buffer?
I don't talk about that specifically. I don't actually talk about the budget word at all.
Oh. That's
for very
a
specific
word.
I think other than like going, we're not going to talk about budgets because here's why. But I do talk about like thinking long term. This is more related to like investing. So I teach about the tools of money. Investing is very much a tool of money. To go, what are your goals? What are your horizons? Now that can be overlaid into exactly this conversation. Like it could be overlaid into anything. What I think that, and my husband and I often have this conversation about, he sort of rails against this, like, well, everybody thinks they need to drive a fancy car and they think they need to have a big house. I'm like, because that's what they're told.
Yeah.
That's what we're told. We are told that you need to have I mean, hell, I literally had someone say to me, if you want to be successful in your business, you need to drive a nicer car and you need to have nicer clothes.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
I was told one time that I dress frumpy.
See, and then to completely boggle the mind, and men don't get this, they're fucking lucky bastards this way. I got fired from a job because I dressed too nicely.
What?
Yes, actually.
You're not dressing fancy enough, and people assume that you're maybe not successful.
Correct.
Right? Like,
yeah.
That's a whole other thing. Sorry, I just had to
verbalize
that thought.
And I think it's really just alignment with your client. Okay. We've been here forever. Let's finish up with 2 super quick questions.
Okay.
So I've asked you about advice for women in male-dominated industries.
Yes.
We're talking about money. If there was one thing that you either wish that you knew sooner or that you would love for all, I'm going to say young women in particular, to hear about money, what would it be?
Whatever you can afford that doesn't take away from joyous life, whatever you can afford to put away, whether that's just in a TSFA until you figure out how to invest it, do it now.
Investing in your future.
Investing in your future. Like, it doesn't matter that the stock market goes up and down and up and down. Its curve trajectory
by the way,
is always
it's done
up.
Since it began.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the idea is whatever you invest in your 20s is still going to be worth a shit ton more when you're 50, as opposed to if you invest it when you're 35 or 39, right?
Yeah.
But like you said, it's never too late.
Yes.
So
And you don't have to start big.
And you don't have to start big. So whatever you have, you know, even if you're choosing to not go out that one night a month or one night every 2 months or one night a quarter, whatever it is. So my advice is whatever you have extra that doesn't take away from joy, invest this.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. What do you believe to be true about money?
I believe that once you figure out that happiness isn't about the things that you can buy, what you can live on happily changes.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it there. We could talk about that for hours.
I know.
All right, Jess. So where can people find you?
Where can people find me?
Yes.
So my playground just started in Instagram recently. So that's Jess Soodeen. So there's 3 S's in there. LinkedIn is my favorite playground for getting booked for speaking gigs and things like that.
Nice.
Please don't go to my website yet because you're going to get an empty page.
We won't
I am
put
developing.
a URL in yet.
I'm developing that, and of course, it's just jessicasoodeen.com. But the best place to find me is LinkedIn for hiring me as an executive coach, a keynote speaker for events. I always bring like crazy fucking fun stories about me racing bikes, or sometimes I show the video when I crashed on my bike in my talks when I was sliding on my back at 100K an hour. On Facebook, I'm known as Cousin Jessica Soodeen, and cousin is not some weird ethnic name. It's because I have a bunch of Newfie cousins that I'm super tight with, and we call each other, "Hey, Cousin Amy, what's going down? Hey, Cousin Jess." Yeah, people in Banff know me as Cousin Jess in Banff.
That's amazing.
Anyway, so I'm happy for people to reach out on Facebook if they're looking for a softer touch, or on LinkedIn, and I'm just starting to learn about Instagram.
The gram.
Oh
my God.
The IG.
The learning curve on social media, it makes me feel so old.
It is kind of crazy. And you can get my book on Amazon, and you can find that episode on YouTube for Behind the Helmet. And what I'm actually doing is trying to figure out on my YouTube account how I can I've tried to mark them, but I'm not sure whether I've gotten it right yet. But all of the interviews that I've done since leaving my full-time job, because even though I was in some PTSD and depression after my mom died, I also managed to co-create and facilitate a 12-week online course, first time me creating an online course with a girlfriend of mine on emotional intelligence and doing all these things.
Wow.
Yeah. So
total underperformer, Jess.
Yeah, total underperformer. Yeah, when I'm really depressed, I just create shit. But yeah, it's really interesting because it's like, even looking at my resume, there are these like times that you have to talk about where there wasn't anything there.
Right.
And where was the visibility? So what I did was I kept on doing interviews. I kept on going to the university and donating my time in their women in engineering events that they have for like 500 girls. I'll talk about motivational and how being a math geek or being a physics geek can learn to some pretty fucking cool kick-ass work in your life, and it's very attainable because I did it.
Yeah.
And I'm just a regular person like everyone else,
yes.
right?
Yep.
But yeah, so I'm still trying to figure out how to get some more videos of my interviews out so that people can learn a little bit more. So some of that will be, there's a big coming soon, especially with the speaking thing, because the more international speaking I do, the more I just want it.
Yes.
And it's just such a fun thing to, I spoke at the Project Management Institute's annual conference last year. And just these are just fun things to do when you're teaching people lessons and you're using motorsports as examples. And if people's eyes get glazed over, I'm a very good pivoter to be able to say, oh, okay, I need some more project management examples.
Right.
Or I need to dive into my very extensive corporate background and get some of those examples, or my personal life, or the caregiving. It's so nice to be able to have these rich and sometimes very challenging experiences to draw on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The joy of life.
Yes.
I love it. All right. I will link all of that into the show notes.
Lovely. Thank you.
I bet we both really have to go to the bathroom. It is literally 3 hours that we've been sitting here, but this has been the most fantastic fucking conversation. I have loved
brilliant. I did not expect how wonderful this has been.
Well, yay.
Yeah. Like, this is really...
We're going to go run off, like, holding hands into the sunset from here on in.
Yeah, and maybe go take a spin around and do some burnouts in the prelude.
Yes. I like it. Jess, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Amy. Okay. And your special gift shines through. This has to be in the podcast. The way that you craft your interviews is so intentional and wonderful.
Thank you.
And your questions made me think. And your questions have literally, I've got 2 more workshops that I'm going to make because of this interview. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome. That. Yeah, I'm not a blow smoke up anyone's ass, so.
No, you don't come across that way.
No.
All right, everybody, I'm going to re-listen to that section about 400 times on my day that I'm feeling down. I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, for real. How good was that conversation? Oh my goodness. Jess and I were sitting together for approaching 5 hours on the day that we recorded this, and we only recorded just shy of 3 hours worth of content. So you can guess just how juicy and full and amazing the fullness of our time was together. I loved every moment, and I hope and trust that you loved every moment of this podcast of the last 3 parts as much as I did. If you have not yet followed Jess on the gram, go give her a follow, give her posts a few likes. I have her handle linked in the show notes for you. If you want to catch the Behind the Helmet episode, we talked about it a little more in part 2. It's about a 12-minute video. I have the video linked in the show notes for you. And once again, please consider supporting Jess and her fellow collaborators in the book that they just recently published called Echoes of Wisdom. You can find that book on Amazon by following the link in the show notes. With that, my love, next week will be an entirely different episode. I have no idea just yet what it's going to be, but it will be great, I'm sure. I am excited to catch back up with you. And until then, thank you so much for listening and have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you loved what you heard today, be sure to share it with me by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform and help me reach more like-minded people who are ready to expand their life. If you haven't yet followed me on social media, find me on Instagram for extra love and inspiration by following @AmyVanMeal or visit my website at amyvanmeal.com. I love you so much, babe, and I am damn proud of you. I am already excited to connect in the next episode. And in the meantime, believe in yourself with the confidence of a 5-year-old.